Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in. I'm Finchely, and today, Star and I will be doing a deep dive into the ADV match between Pak and Jirachi and Salamence, also known as Fruhdazi.
Hey, I'm Star. Been an SPL player manager for a while, managing this year. Excited to get into an ADV game, especially. I played ADV for a couple seasons in SPL. Always been one of my favorite tiers. So yeah, let's get into it.
Great. This is quite a stacked matchup between Pak and Fruhdazi. Pak does seem to be the one slightly favored to win, though. He has the number 2 placement on the SPL power rankings and went 5-1 in ADVPL compared to Fruhdazi's number 3 spot on the power rankings and 4-1 record in ADVPL. What are your thoughts, though, given your history with the tier?
Yeah, so I think both of these players are pretty interesting. Pak was actually a UU player for a long time. Like, I teamed with him years and years and years ago, like 2017, 2018, around those times. So he was a good UU player at the time. I mean, he's played UU for a very long time, and I think he's gotten into ADV more in recent years. But yeah, he's grown to be really good at ADV too. He's had some great results in recent years, like the ones you mentioned. He also made finals of ADV Revival, losing to ABR. So yeah, he's had some recent success. Fruhdazi is like, I guess, more of a newer face to tournaments as a whole, but he's like a through and through ADV mainer, like plays ADV all the time, very active in the community. He's on the younger side, but yeah, he's had some great results too, and I think he's looking for this to be his breakout season, so should be a fun game. All right, so one of those lead matchups, Salamence and T-Tar, is like one of the most classic leads in ADV. This can go a whole lot of ways. Like, so Salamence could be choice band, it could be mixed ments. So choice band being like HP Flying, Brick Break, Earthquake, Rock Slide. Mixed ments being, Dragon Claw, Brick Break, Fire Blast, and then any number of fourth moves. It could be HP Grass, Wish, Roar, Hydro Pump, whatever. There's a ton of options. T-Tar, like, how can this threaten Salamence? So like one is like choice band or Rock Slide could take this right out. If it's like a mixed T-Tar, Ice Beam could take this right out. So both Pokemon have like to be kind of scared of each other a little bit, but obviously Tyranitar is slower, so it's a little more scared than Salamence is. So yeah, I mean, normally you see like Tyranitar, like, respecting choice band and switching out, and Salamence might switch out, but like usually it stays and can kind of click a lot of moves. It can go for like a aggressive Fire Blast. It can just go for Brick Break. It can just click Dragon Claw. Or if it's choice band, it could click God knows what. So yeah, there's just so many ways this could go.
All right, and let's see how it all plays out. And we do see that it is likely mixed ments, with Salamence clicking Brick Break into Jirachi for not that much damage.
Yeah, very low damage there. Clearly the Jirachi has some investment on the physical side, and yeah, that is a mixed ments.
Mm-hmm. So going forward,
yeah, so the mixed ments reveals that Fire Blast. Blissey pivots in, takes that easily, but notably it is at 88 now, and like Brick Break probably 2 KOs from here.
Yeah.
And Blissey does scare Salamence though. Like, Salamence can't just stay in here. It has to fear Ice Beam, has to fear Thunder Wave. All kinds of things he doesn't want to take.
Blissey can threaten it out because it doesn't immediately crumple to Brick Break. Then let's see what Fruhdazi ends up doing in this situation.
Yeah, so Snorlax is especially on offenses, it's a very common switch into Blissey because, it sponges anything pretty easily. It usually runs immunity, which means it's immune to Toxic, and, Thunder Wave is not fun, but, it's already slow, so it's not the worst thing in the world, and it easily shrugs off Seismic Toss and Ice Beam and all that kind of stuff, so yeah, pretty safe Snorlax.
So we see Fortress come in on the Snorlax cursing up.
Yeah, so Curse Snorlax is pretty annoying. It's hard to kill. Fortress comes in, I think, he doesn't really know what the Snorlax necessarily is yet. It's most likely Boom, just because, there's a mixed ments. it would be weird to have like a team where you're supporting both mixed Ments and then also have a resting Snorlax. So it's most likely some offensive set. Fortress comes in to kind of maybe figure out what this is. It can click spikes. It can threaten boom kind of. It can threaten counter. It has some options. So yeah.
If Fortress can't reliably touch Snorlax, so do you think there's going to be a secondary answer in the pack?
Yeah, I mean, if Fortress is your only Snorlax check, you have a very big problem in the team builder. So presumably he does have something else that can at least somewhat deal with this. But yeah, I think Fortress was just like his safest mid ground to start off.
Yeah. All right, well, let's see what happens now.
All right, so the Snorlax isn't getting paralyzed, has that nice second curse, which makes this even worse for Fortress, and now Pak is in an awkward spot. And there's the para.
Yep. And depending on the Celebi set, that's going to be pretty significant.
Yeah, like if Celebi switches in on Snorlax, that means it means only one thing. It means it's clicking Leech Seed, but we'll see what the Snorlax set is. Like this can be a lot of things. Like I do think it definitely has Boom, but like from there it's like usually 2 of Body Slam, Earthquake, Shadow Ball. It can really be like any 2 of those depending on how you support it. But usually on this kind of team, it's not going to be Body Slam, Earthquake because being completely walled by Gengar is crazy, and usually you can't fit Pursuit on these teams, so I would expect it has Shadow Ball, and then, either Earthquake or Body Slam, depending on what he wants to hit.
Uh-huh.
So that Shadow Ball does a ton.
Yeah.
So he barely lives after Sand.
We do see the Leech Seed just like you predicted, and that full pair coming in massive handy because Celebi would be dead otherwise, unable to take the Shadow Ball from full.
Yeah, and Celebi being dead would have really sucked because Snorlax can switch out, it's a threat again, all kinds of problems. So
So now we see Celebi swap back out to Fori, which can slightly better check Snorlax now that's been seeded and is taking consistent shape damage each turn.
yes, and Snorlax has a huge HP stat, so Leech Seed heals Fori a ton. And yeah, I mean, like Snorlax isn't going to do like Fortress is so physically bulky, Snorlax kind of has to switch here because it's just not going to be doing much net damage.
So we see a switch to Ments in an attempt to try and gain back momentum.
Yeah, and now this is so awkward for Pak because look at the 5 monsters he brought out, right?
Yep.
T-Tar, Blissey, both easily.
Weak to fire, dice to brick break, dice to brick break. So.
Yeah, so it's just completely awkward. Maybe if he has like a great last, but it doesn't look like he does, so. And there it is. So tough quick break to take right away, and now Pak is in such an awkward spot because again, this Bliss is going to die the next brick break. He has another brick break week, 3 fire weeks, so this turn could go terribly for him. Depends on how Shitrook wants to play it.
Then we see a critical hit on the Jirachi. Depending on the set, that may or may not make a difference. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly a bulky Jirachi, which means it most likely has Wish. The question is, like, does it have enough special defense to live Fire Blast? I think it probably does. But yeah, I mean, it depends on, like, what does Pak want to do here? Does he want to, like, potentially risk some kind of roll and just go for the Wish? If he clicks Protect and the Salamence switches, then, Jirachi is stuck at 60-something%. And the next time Salamence comes in, it's just even more danger again. So that crit puts him in a little bit of an awkward spot. So like where Wish was completely free before, now it's not necessarily the case.
True, I hadn't considered that. Let's see what they end up clicking. So Jirachi does end up clicking Protect into Ments Fire Blast.
Yeah, so that's good for Jirachi. Now can Wish up pretty easily.
Jirachi is gonna wish as it tanks a Fire Blast, which is just shy of killing it.
Yeah, and Fire Blast PP is something to be concerned about. It only has 8 PP. They can go by really quickly when you're clicking them into like a Wish Jirachi especially.
Yep.
And he needs it to like break other Pokemon too. So yeah, he has to keep an eye on it.
Going to need a Fire Blast for Celebi and a Fire Blast for Fori. So that's already 2 more of the 5 Fire Blast PP that Mence has left.
Yeah, I mean Celebi dies to Claw at this range, but yeah, if it heals up, then it needs a Fire Blast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 3 gone.
Yep. And so now we see Fruhdazi switching up his approach, trying to conserve Fire Blast PP for later in the game.
Yeah, and Claydol is a very common Pokemon on these kinds of teams. Like Snorlax hates spikes.
Yep.
Presumably you have more Pokemon that are grounded, and it's an offense team, so Claydol is a nice fit. Gets those spikes off. It can click Explosion.
Yep.
It's just a very natural choice here.
So we're going to see a Protect for just a bit more lefties healing. Could come in handy later.
Yeah, especially with those dangerous Fire Blasts.
And then we see Claydol EQing into the Fori for not that much damage, but without reliable healing or Leech Seed, it will start to add up over time if Fori keeps taking these EQs.
Yeah, and I guess we'll find out if Fori can, actually beat this Claydol. Depends on what the set is. HP Bug would beat it. Toxic would be nice, unless Claydol is refreshed, but that seems unlikely, given the style of team. And yeah, I mean, HP Ghost does some damage too. Counter does some damage if it clicks Earthquake. So yeah, I mean, we'll see how this goes.
Yep.
But yeah, on this turn, I think Claydol is pretty free to kind of do whatever it wants.
So we see the 3rd spike come out here, as Claydol EQs into Fori.
Yeah, I mean, I think now you're just gonna spin, but we'll see.
So Fori just gonna keep clicking spikes to keep that up on the field to pressure Snorlax, because if Snorlax comes in on spikes while it's paralyzed, suddenly it's looking a lot more manageable to deal with.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that the Fori does not click HP Bug, meaning that, if you have 3 spikes up and you don't HP Bug, there's no more free turn HP Bug, right? So I would be surprised if he has it at this point.
So let's see if they just keep doing this interaction, or if Pak or Fruhdazi is going to change something up. And so we see the counter that you mentioned earlier come out, although Fruhdazi takes this moment to swap out to Mence to again apply that pressure to Pak's team.
Yeah, and now Mence is such a big threat again.
Jirachi just barely avoids the 2-hit KO, I think, with Protect.
Yeah, might be a roll. Yeah, I mean, it's awkward for sure. And yeah, I mean, everything else is kind of in a range of moves.
Yep.
Blissey tries to Brick Break, so awkward turn.
And we do see the Blissey come down to Brick Break.
Yeah, alright. So Jirachi back in it. Salamence being as big a threat as it can be here.
Yep. Although Rachi with Wish Protect is going to be able to stall out those Fire Blast PPs. So we'll probably see a switch from Fruhdazi's end. No?
Yeah, switch would make the most sense. You want to keep those Fire Blasts for when you can use them on the switch-ins.
Mm-hmm. And so we do see a swap to Snorlax. Although coming in on that spike, it's starting to get relatively low.
Yeah. But here it clicks a nice curse to T-Tar, so... Pak is praying this thing doesn't have Earthquake, so his T-Tar can, muscle through it, but we'll see.
So Pak reveals special T-Tar, but does take a nasty EQ.
Yeah, and now this T-Tar can't be Clay at all either, which is very annoying. So
Yeah.
he's gonna just have to trade this T-Tar into Snorlax.
Mhm. And we don't see a full para as T-Tar goes down, but Snorlax is looking really low, and we see the Flygon coming in, which will be able to force it out, or at least claim a kill on Snorlax.
Yeah, look at this team versus Mixed Ments, man. Another like Dragon weakness comes out.
Yep.
Yeah, Mixed Ments just has super effective moves against the whole gang.
Yeah, Mixed Ments just tears apart most TSS structures, unless you have Milotic or like other really defensive options.
Yeah, for sure. But this one is like especially trouble.
And so we do see Fruhdazi choosing to sack Snorlax, and Suicune comes in. Suicune looking pretty dangerous, cause
Yeah, I mean the Celebi's at 20 something percent. So yeah, this is a huge threat.
and we see the Jirachi, and Surf largely bounces off with Lefty's recovery.
Yeah, Toxic and Calm Mind, slower Suicune, which is nice for Pack.
Definitely going to need to stall out Suicune given Pack's relative inability to apply offensive pressure without risking Flygon.
Yeah, and like, if this thing rests on Jirachi, if it's Sleep Talk, and it gets the Surf, like while Celebi comes in, I think the game just ends on the spot. So very awkward situation for Pack here.
Yep, let's see how this all plays out. Rachi going to Wish, and probably going to keep trying to rack up that toxic damage.
Yeah, I think I just want to try to get Celebi in at some point. Okay, we see the nice early rest here from Fruhdazi, and now Pack really has absolutely no choice but to go Celebi and just pray it isn't Sleep Talk Surf.
So we see the Celebi come in, and no Sleep Talk.
Yeah, so that will make Pack happy. He can click Recover if he has it, or just Lead Seed.
So we do indeed see the Leech Seed. Now,
Yeah, now that this thing doesn't have Sleep Talk, I mean, it has basically one of two moves. It's going to be Roar, or it's going to be Ice Beam. It looks like Fruhdazi doesn't have spikes. If he had a spiker, it probably would have come out by now. So Roar without spikes, I mean, you can run it, but it's like not all that great. Roar loves those hazards, so most likely it's Ice Beam. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, obviously that's a huge threat to Celebi.
Yep. And we see the switch to Jirachi as indeed Ice Beam comes out. At this point, with the Suicune Leech seeded, Jirachi is going to be able to stall out the Suicune much more easily with Toxic, although if Suicune just keeps boosting up, it's going to pose more and more of a threat.
Yeah, but like, once he can force a rest, then he can get Flygon in with Leech Seed and stuff like that. So Suicune is not really a threat to like win from this position, but like it's still a huge threat later.
Yeah. So we are going to see Suicune keep Calm Minding as Rachi clicks Wish. Then there's the Toxic. So Suicune's going to start accruing a lot of chip damage at this point.
Yeah, it has to rest soon.
There we see the Surf.
Huge Surf.
98%.
Yeah, that's a ton of damage.
Do you think that was a roll to kill, or?
I'd be surprised. Jirachi is so fat, and Suicune, like, I don't think it's like max special attack most likely. So yeah, I would be surprised if it was a roll. But
100 base stat in every stat is a lot stronger in ADV than it is in modern generations.
Yeah, modern generations are so min maxed, it's crazy. But yeah, in ADV, Jirachi's still a tank.
And so now Suicune's getting dangerously low, though. It's gonna be forced to rest here.
Yeah, has to rest, and Jirachi gets that nice wish back.
Yep. So Now we're going to see a switch to Celebi? No, Fortress.
You see Fortress. I would have expected Flygon, honestly, because Flygon's like the most guaranteed way to force this thing out.
True.
But he goes Fortress, and I think he's saying, I might have Boom. You should respect it and get out of here.
True. We don't see any boom of any sorts, but
yeah, Fruhdazi doesn't respect it either. He says, if you have Boom, let's see it. And Celebi comes in and is forced out immediately because it can't take that Ice Beam.
Although, even Jirachi doesn't particularly like taking Ice Beam. 30%.
Yeah, if he had surfed there, I think Pak would have just lost.
Yeah. Especially if this dynamic keeps continuing over the course of the game, each Jirachi switch on Ice Beam is risking a deadly freeze.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that would have been, Celebi was at what there? It's not very healthy.
Nope.
49%, staring down a +4 Suicune. I sort of feel like that would have been a very good turn to surf, just because, what is Celebi really doing to you, right? You're not going to die unless he crits you, and like if he crits you, then he crits you, and you're going to die anyway, right? So I don't really like that Ice Beam, but yeah, I mean, he's obviously still okay.
So now we're going to see Jirachi protect just for that extra bit. Do you think that Fruhdazi should have surfed here, since not surfed, should have come here, since
I mean, you could argue that because like Pak is sort of forced to protect, but he could also make an aggressive play and like Toxic, and then that sucks. So I mean, it's not like a guaranteed gain if you comment.
True. Suicune getting down quite low again. And
yeah, so it looks like that 98 was a max, given this only did 85.
Yep. Suicune gonna be forced to rest here, yep. And then either see a switch to Flygon or maybe back to Celebi.
Yeah, I would expect probably Flygon. Nope, it is Celebi again.
Pak wanting to just get that recovery.
Seems so, yeah. He's content to not force this out yet.
There we see Giga Drain, although with Giga Drain's PP being so low.
Yeah. It's an awkward spot. And now, yeah, this is why, I don't know, I would have gone Flygon, because now he has to deal with this waking up and being nasty again.
And so we do see, yep, Fruhdazi gets a predict on the Jirachi switch in, and now Jirachi is extremely low, won't be able to protect its way out of range or get a safe wish.
Yeah, so Fruhdazi's getting one more big surf off before he has to rest.
Protects just to get that extra bit of Leech Seed chip. Then we see a switch to Furry.
And it actually bangs. That's a huge lift for Pak. He gets to keep him on, which is massive.
Yes.
And gets a free turn too, because this Suicune has to rest.
Gonna rest. Then Furry gets an extra spike up, taking advantage.
And some Leech Seed.
Yep. So now Furry is almost back to half health already.
Yeah, Leech Seed does nasty things, man.
So that's going to be an extra Fire Blast PP that Mensa might have to use later, which is going to be pretty significant. Now we see the switch to Flygon finally, now that Pak is probably satisfied with Celebi's HP. And
yeah, I think so.
Especially with Leech Seed up, Flygon's going to be able to really threaten us Suicune here. So we do see the switch to Mence on Flygon's EQ, but then again, Mence being in is pretty big threat to Pak's team, especially with Jirachi being just within Fire Blast range, although it might be a roll, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and if he loses Jirachi, I think he loses the game. So very awkward spot. I mean, this Flygon, it's only clicked like one move, but like Earthquake twice, and it hasn't revealed anything about itself, like its item or anything. But just judging by the team, it's not really like a very CB Flygon looking team. It looks like it needs lefties probably just for the extra rock resist because Jirachi, it is a rock resist, but it's weak to Earthquake. Like that being your only rock resist can be very dicey. If because CB Flygon is barely a rock resist, it takes too much from everything. And yeah, so I would expect this Flygon is most likely leftovers, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's max defense. It can easily be just leftovers and protect or something or sub. So.
So now we're going to see, Pak sacking the Fori, which is that one more Fire Blast. So with only 3 Fire Blasts left, Rachi might be able to stall out probably at least 2 of them with Wish Protect.
Yeah, it's going to get leftovers as it comes in, and then again on Protect. So yeah, very nice for it.
Now Rachi comes in, and leftovers puts it just out of Fire Blast range.
It doesn't even need to Protect. It's that Wish off.
There goes the Wish. Here we're going to see a Protect. Yep.
And he's not going to waste a Fire Blast here, of course. Yeah, only 2 left now.
Yeah. And doesn't kill.
Decides to go for a little fish there, but doesn't work out for him.
So, gonna see the Claydol come in finally. Removing spikes, especially with Fori down, is going to be a big help for Suicune, so that it doesn't take chip and get forced to rest sooner than it wants to.
Yeah, for sure. He gets a little extra back.
I'm gonna see a switch to Celebi on the EQ. And we see a nasty
very nice
Celebi. Yep. Without the crit, Claydol would have been able to tank 2 Giga Drains before going down, but now it's not in a position to really check any of Pak's remaining Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, it can still switch on Jirachi once, probably, but, it's not exactly ideal. And Flygon, assuming it has HP Bug, that should be in range now, so pretty awkward.
Even Claydol doesn't really like switching on Fire Punch because of that nasty Serene Grace habit of just occasionally getting random BS.
Yeah, and even at 30%, he might not even live to, who knows?
Yeah. So, Claydol rapid spinning as maybe its last act on the field. And we see Fruhdazi swap to his own Jirachi.
Yeah, I was going to mention, Celebi looks like a big offensive threat if you look at, the moves it has. It's pretty clearly not recover at this point, so it's probably, either it's going to have Psychic and then it's going to be, Calm Mind or HP Fire last.
Yeah.
And here, I was going to say it's a big threat because look at Salamence, Suicune, Celebi, Claydol, nothing wants to come into Celebi, but he does have a good check in Jirachi here.
And so, we're gonna say Celebi Leech, and then Jirachi's gonna Wish. Do you think that Jirachi wants to maybe try and Wish up Claydol?
I don't think he can. I mean, that's very risky here. If he clicks Giga Drain and just dies.
Yeah.
I think it's more like he's just kind of getting a Wish up because it's such a nice general play, and and Jirachi's kind of free to do whatever. But yeah.
Celebi's gonna Leech, and then Suicune does take a hefty chunk from Giga Drain, but that Wish from earlier comes in handy and heals it almost back up to full.
Yeah, and Giga Drain loses 2 PP there, so nice trade for him.
I think Giga Drain is at 2 PP now, since the replay doesn't show, since pressure isn't visible, it doesn't show exactly how many PP are left on certain moves.
Yeah, he has to keep a close eye on those Leech Seeds and those Giga Drains to not lose to Suicune.
Yeah. So, Jirachi coming in on the Leech Seed.
Now, if he has HP Fire, this could be pretty annoying. And we do see it.
Yep.
Yeah, now we have a lot of turns where like one crit can just end the game.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that turn was risky. If Celebi got a crit, Jirachi would have been down.
Yeah, but yeah, Fruhdazi also doesn't have a lot of choices though. It's not like he can switch into this, so.
So Fruhdazi gonna Calm Mind up with Wish healing it mostly back to half health.
More chances to crit now though.
Uh-huh. So, but if the crit doesn't come, this Jirachi is looking pretty scary into Pak's team.
Yeah, like if he's the most common set on like Calm Mind Wish is Bolt Beam, so like Ice Punch and Thunder or T-Bolt, which would be a huge threat here. You know, Ice Punch hits Celebi and Flygon super effectively.
Yep.
Jirachi doesn't exactly love T-Bolt, and because again it's a special Jirachi, right? Only move Fire Punch. Like the only way you get out of that is if you burn Fire Punch.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, not an ideal situation for him. Like other common things are like Psychic. I mean, Psychic Fire Punch is not as common, but you know, that was sort of like the traditional set. Normally these days you just see a lot of Bolt Beam and occasionally HP Grass.
Yep.
But yeah.
So we're gonna see Flygon coming on the Wish, and Flygon's going to likely threaten Jirachi out since
Dice Earthquake here.
Celebi is faster, so Flygon's likely also faster.
Yeah, and like now that this Jirachi is forced out at like 40-something%, Pak Celebi is a huge threat, right? If this Jirachi doesn't heal.
Jirachi gets 2-hit KO'd by HP Fire at this point, I think.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So it's a big problem.
Mm-hmm. And Flygon catches the Claydol.
Yeah, and that was a smart play from both sides. So, like, you know, obviously Pak loves to get rid of a Pokemon with Boom, right? That's like one less thing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
So HP Bug is a nice play, but also for Fruhdazi, right? Like going Claydol there, like one of two things happens, right? Either he clicks Earthquake and you heal, and that's fantastic.
Yep.
Or he clicks the HP Bug and you get to heal Jirachi, right?
Yeah.
So at least either way you get something out of it.
And now Jirachi is looking in a pretty decent position because Flygon doesn't necessarily want to stay in and EQ the Jirachi.
Yeah, Ice Punch would do hefty damage.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
Mm-hmm. And so, let's see what they'll do. So we do see the switch to Celebi as Fruhdazi comes in with the Mence to threaten Pak's team. Though,
yeah, Mence is kind of a mid-ground there, covers Earthquake pretty easily, obviously, and yeah, would threaten Flygon out, and you know, it's not useless into the other Pokemon either.
Although with only one Fire Blast left, if Fruhdazi doesn't get a crit or burn, Rachi can just come in and just heal itself back up.
Yeah, so just like kind of one more chance to fish here.
Mm-hmm. And we do see the switch to Rachi as Fire Blast comes out and no hacks.
Yeah, I mean he did hit all 8 of them, but then no.
That could be considered hacks in and of itself. Many games have been lost by accuracy, but we do see Fruhdazi going out to Metagross now.
Metagross and Jirachi is an interesting combo. You don't see them together a lot, but on this structure it does make sense. And yeah, I mean Metagross is a huge threat here.
Sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, accidentally clicked the play button. But yeah, Metagross, Rachi being solo doesn't take EQ very well. Celebi, of course, isn't the best switch into Metagross, taking a lot.
Especially without recover.
Yeah. And so we do see the Rachi click Wish as Mence goes out to Metagross.
Yeah, and Jirachi is pretty much just forced to click Protect.
Mm-hmm.
No choices.
And Metagross puts
Okay.
agility.
Yeah, so that tells you it's nice offensive Metagross. Has Meteor Mash, Earthquake, and then Explosion or Rock Slide sometimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we see EQ just barely doesn't 2-hit KO Rachi.
Yeah, so that is a lot of physical defense to shrug off that EQ.
Although at this point, Rachi is running out of wishes and protects, and isn't going to be able to fully stall out EQPP.
Yeah, so he has to click fire punches here and kind of maybe hope he gets a little lucky with a burn or a crit or something like that.
And there we do see the fire punch, but no crit, no burn.
Yeah, so now back to wish detect a little bit.
Yep. So Pak doing a little bit of an awkward dance around this Metagross.
Yeah, running very low on this Jirachi's PP.
Yep.
Yeah, if he doesn't get a crit or burn on the next one, then he's going to have to do some pivoting, like Flygon in on EQ and kind of scare things out and all that kind of stuff.
And doesn't...
And here's his fire punch chance here.
Yep. There goes fire punch and no hacks.
No luck.
So at this point, like you said, Pak is going to have to switch around a little bit around Metagross's moves, but it's not at all a comfortable position for Pak to be in.
Yeah, if he switches to Flygon on a mash, he just kind of loses on the spot.
Yep.
So
Flygon
very awkward.
Flygon's is Pak's only method of applying consistent offensive pressure, and if Flygon goes down, the game really opens up for Fruhdazi to just overwhelm Pak.
Yeah, for sure.
So we do see the Flygon come in on Metagross EQ.
So yeah, now it's an interesting spot because, like, you know, if this Flygon doesn't have Protect, like, and the Metagross has Explosion, it's a very free click here because it's just a kill.
Yep.
And if you get a kill, you are probably going to win with the combination of, you know, Salamence, Suicune, and Jirachi, just because, you know, if you kill Celebi, Suicune sweeps. If you kill Jirachi, Salamence sweeps with, like, Dragon Claw even, right?
Yeah.
If you kill Flygon, then you pretty much sweep with your own Jirachi. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of ways, like, Boom can go well, but, you know, Boom is also a very risky click because if this Flygon has protects on Boom, then you've just lost a Pokemon for absolutely no gain, which would be horrible.
So we do see a switch to Mence, not wanting to risk Flygon clicking Protect, as Flygon clicks EQ. But since Mence is out of Fire Blast, Rachi's just gonna be able to come in, although without many Wish Protects left, even Rachi isn't that great a check anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
So we do see the Rachi coming in, as Suicune takes a chance to burn a Sleep turn. Here comes the Celebi, gonna leap probably.
Yeah. 2 more PP gone.
Yep. And Celebi takes a decent chunk of damage from Ice Beam. Not
Yeah,
a
that's
terribly defensive Celebi at all.
and doesn't have recover, so
No.
it has to be careful about its health.
Mm-hmm. And we see Pak over predicting a little bit, burning.
That's very tough.
Yeah, 2 more precious Leech Seed PPs lost for nothing as Celebi takes yet another massive chunk of health from Ice Beam.
Yeah, Pak was trying to be, like, very health conscious and, you know, like, leech on a switch, but gets punished there with the PP and just the mispredict.
Yeah. Now we see Metagross coming in on Giga Drain. Giga Drain's at 2 or I think 1 PP left. So
Yeah, it's very low for sure.
if Celebi's likely gonna have to start relying on Psychic if it has that.
Yeah, most likely does. I don't think it's Calm Mind.
So now we'll probably see a switch to Jirachi. Yep.
Yep, and yeah, Fruhdazi makes a safe play, just clicks Mash.
No attack raise, which is pretty big for Pak.
Yeah, and now he should be in range of Living Earthquake, so
That-
clicks a Fire Punch.
ooh.
Oh, gets it.
Nasty critical hit, because now Metagross is going to be able to stall out the rest of Jirachi's wishes. So,
Yeah. And yeah, getting rid of that Metagross without a kill is great for Pak.
Suicune's gonna come in though, start doing its little song and dance again.
Yeah, but this Toxic will force it to rest pretty quickly.
There we see the early rest.
Yeah, now Pak needs to force this thing out. So he goes into Celebi.
B to click leech.
You could try like clicking some attacks first if you wanted to, but yeah, most likely just gonna leech. Running really low on these leeches.
Yep. I don't exactly remember how many are left at this point, but probably I'm guessing around 4.
Yeah, probably something like that.
So 2 or 3 more clicks of leech against Suicune left. Jirachi does come in to absorb the ice beam.
Yeah, no, another toxic. Yeah, this is gonna leech up, wish up,
Yep.
all that fun stuff.
Although, and here we do see Flygon.
Oh, nice. Very nice play.
Very nice play. That's going to heavily threaten out Suicune and the rest of Fruhdazi's team as well, because Rachi doesn't want to take an EQ, and Mence certainly doesn't want to take a Rock Slide.
Yeah, Mence like sort of shrugs off Rock Slide, but you know, can't do it forever, right? Like you can only take a few, so.
Probably doesn't have Wish, so it's not going to be able to heal up any damage it takes.
Yeah.
So we do see a swap to Mence as Flygon.
You see the Rock Slide.
Yep.
Yeah, and now Pak has kind of taken the aggressive momentum a little bit away from Fruhdazi, but Jirachi comes in on both sides, back to Celebi, and here, you know, if this Jirachi on like Fruhdazi's side has Ice Punch, he's in a beautiful spot. He can just click those. Celebi takes a huge chunk of damage, doesn't have recover. It would be great for him, and you know, Flygon can't switch on Ice Punch either. So yeah, I think if he has Ice Punch, he would be very favored.
Yep. And surprisingly, we don't see Fruhdazi click and attack at all, instead electing to go to Suicune. What do you think that says about his coverage moves?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't think it's Ice Punch anymore. I also don't think it's like a Psychic Fire Punch set, because normally, I mean, that thing is walled by T-Tar, so normally you want something for it, like a Dug or something. So it probably isn't that. And then my guess is we actually saw like Wish T-Bolt HP Grass in a different ADV game this week, and it went crazy there. I think probably the same set here. But, you know, actually this one is the worst possible matchup where they get to Celebi and Flygon, like the two things you absolutely hate to see with that set, so.
So we do see Suicune coming in, probably to burn more turns of sleep. What do you think?
Also to burn two leech seeds right there.
Yeah, and we do see that Celebi. So now Celebi is likely on maybe 1 or 2 more uses of leech seed left against Suicune. Give times it's
very, very low.
And there goes the
nice HP Fire though.
Yeah. HP Fire is gonna start heavily pressuring Jirachi, since Jirachi likely can't touch Celebi if it is the T-Bolt HP Grass. Yeah,
and gets a leech seed here. A little more aggressive play from Pak, trying to get as much progress as he can in these few turns.
Although Leech Seed PP is running awfully low at this point. So
it is, yeah. I think probably like it was an even number or something, so he was fine wasting one of the Jirachi.
So why do you think Pak chose to swap back out to Rachi at this point? Because Fruhdazi.
I think it's, yeah, I mean, like he could HP Fire, but you know, it's not going to make a ton of progress. I think he was like thinking, I can heal up Jirachi a little bit. I can also fish a little bit.
True.
I can kind of just, you know, force things to be on my terms.
And so there goes the Flygon coming in on Wish.
Yeah, and he still respects Ice Punch here, switching out.
Yep. And Suicune's back to full, and Rachi is... So Suicune's gonna be able to burn turn sleep.
Yeah, and now Suicune is pretty awkward to deal with.
Yep.
Pak has to click some attacks.
So they're
Yeah.
good Psychic, dealing a good amount of damage to Suicune. Gonna force Suicune.
Yeah, 4 KO is solid.
Mm-hmm.
And now here's where it gets a little awkward for Pak.
There might just be the final Leech Seed.
Yeah, I think that was the final Leech Seed. So yeah, he can force out this Suicune with the Leech Seed, which he does. Flygon is now again like kind of in the driver's seat, right? Like Suicune really doesn't want to take this Earthquake. Salamence comes in on Rock Slide, great Rock Slide.
Rock Slide dealing, gonna 2-hit KO now, so...
Yeah, Salamence can't come in on this ever again, and now, yeah, like Fruhdazi's playing from the back seat a little bit, because, you know, if the Salamence clicks like another useless move into Jirachi, and then like Pak can double again, he can do a lot of things to really like, you know, turn on the heat. So it's a bit of an awkward spot.
And let's see.
Okay, so Fruhdazi doubles, and Pak makes an amazing play.
Yes.
Crazy.
Looking really low now. Does not want to take another EQ at all.
Yeah, another Earthquake would just send it out.
Yep.
Jirachi is very bad for him. You know, Suicune could come in. So yeah, I mean he's not like in a terrible position yet, but yeah, another awkward state for him.
And so let's see how Pak responds to all of this. We see a swap to Mence as Flygon clicks Rock Slide.
Oh no.
There goes
Okay.
Mence as Suicune comes
That's a
in.
crazy like 3-turn sequence there for Pak. With Rock Slide, Earthquake, Rock
Pak
Slide.
making the correct call 3 turns in a row, and it leads to pretty decent progress with Mence going down.
Yeah, amazing progress because now Earthquake does huge chunks to everything and no Intimidate, so...
Nothing potentially faster than Flygon that can also threaten it out.
Yeah, but, you know, the Suicune is still a major threat because I think he's out of Leech Seeds now, and if, you know, this thing boosts up, catches the Flygon, whatever, like, this is a problem.
Yeah, Celebi running probably out of Leech Seeds. Probably has maybe one more. No, it might be out of Giga Drains at this point.
Yeah, it might be out of both at this point.
Yeah, so has to rely on Psychic, which is kind of set up fodder for Suicune.
Yeah.
Jirachi, also not the best.
It can Toxic, but yeah, it's still not ideal.
So, yes, Suicune looking very deadly from this position if Fruhdazi can get the positioning right. So, yep, we do see the Calm Mind. And
Nice little early rest. Because the good thing about the early rests is, you know, like, the way Pak wins from here is if he gets Flygon in on a rest, then, like, Earthquake is probably going to 3-hit KO, and, you know, then Suicune loses to it, Jirachi loses to it, Flygon's going to win.
Yep.
But if Fruhdazi can avoid Flygon coming in on a rest, you know, like, then, you know, Flygon won't be able to 3-hit KO, Suicune can kind of kill everything. So it's just about, does he get that, who gets the rest timing right, essentially.
So, very tense game from now on. Probably going to be wrapping up within the next 20 turns.
Yeah, most likely.
So we see a switch to Flygon on the rest turn.
Yeah, but this is not going to win unless he crits an Earthquake.
Yep. Earthquake does do a pretty decent amount, but Suicune gonna wake up next turn.
Yeah, Flygon has to get out of here.
Uh-huh. Do you think that Surf was maybe a better play? Because Flygon certainly would not have liked eating.
I mean, I think because Surf is not going to 2-KO this Jirachi, Ice Beam Freeze kind of wins, so I think Ice Beam was fine.
Mm-hmm. Then Toxic Miss, although do you think that has a huge impact on the current state of the game?
I wouldn't say huge. Like, I mean, it's annoying for sure for Pak, but like, I don't think it's a like insane impact.
I see. Uh-huh. So we are going to see Pak hit the next Toxic as Suicune gets the rest, being very wary of Flygon coming in.
Yeah. And now Pak's going to take another opportunity to go for a crit.
Yep. EQ.
And that does very little, probably like the min roll there.
Roll, yep. And here comes Jirachi. Jirachi.
Now Surf is good because it 2-hit KOs this Jirachi.
Yeah, Suicune. Yes, just very threatening.
Yeah, and Jirachi has no choice but to Toxin die.
Yep.
And now we've gotten to the spot where, like, this is basically Pak's last chance, right?
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't get Flygon in on the rest here,
Yeah.
Suicune probably never has to rest again.
Yep.
Because it's just going to click attacks, click Ice Beam until it wins, right? So Pak basically has to time this Flygon to come in on the rest. If not, he loses. And that's basically the whole game at this point.
Yeah, so probably wrapping up within the next 5 turns maybe, so
yeah, pretty much.
See how this all plays out. And we see the Flygon coming in on the rest.
Yep, no Ice Beam, so that's it. Flygon should probably just 3 KO this unless it gets like triple min roll.
High roll. So
yeah, that seals it completely.
High roll into high roll, which seals the game. Suicune gonna go down to the final EQ, and Fruhdazi forfeits. That's GG's.
Yeah, that was a roller coaster of a game. Like the start with, Fruhdazi's Salamence just getting every prediction right, going completely crazy, knocking things all the way out. Snorlax getting a lot of progress. And then from there, it kind of stalled, and like Pak was able to play around Suicune very well. I think Fruhdazi had some chances where he could have taken like more advantage of Suicune that he didn't, but also pretty unlucky in terms of like the Fire Punch critting through Metagross, Giga Drain, Queen Celebi, all that kind of stuff. But Pak, like this endgame was phenomenal from him. Like those 3 turns in a row he got with Flygon, timing this rest correctly, he did so much right.
That was incredibly hype.
Yeah, very, very cool game.
Throughout the game though, even though Pak was often playing from the backseat, he was able to slow the pace down with his Wish Protect Jirachi, and Pak had a difficult time enforcing fast progress without the help of spikes. Do you think that a lot of this game sort of came down to just the difference in preparation?
I think honestly I would say like Fruhdazi had the better matchup. Like if I was picking between these two teams, I would want to play Fruhdazi's side just because this Suicune goes crazy, Mixments goes crazy, and Pak because he has to like play very like sort of defensively, right? He has to like kind of hope he doesn't get too KO'd by whatever move just gets clicked.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a lot harder to like kind of play aggressively if you're Pak in this game. But he was, because of like what you said that there's no spikes, right? So Jirachi and Celebi have an easier time hanging around. No spikes to pressure them, especially against a recoverless Celebi. So that helped him hang around in the game. He used almost all of those wishes to keep himself healthy.
Yep.
And yeah, did a great job managing to like use his one source of offensive pressure in Flygon, and I guess also Celebi a little bit to like really maximize his opportunities.
Overall, just an extremely well played game from both sides. Very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, for sure. One of the best ADV games of the season so far. Looking forward to seeing more from both of these guys.
Yeah. Alright, thank you for recording with me. And for the viewers, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to tune in to our weekly Sunday Twitch streams for live coverage of SPL. Thank you for watching.